Good evening to you. Welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines. How the IRA brought death and devastation to a peaceful town. We mark the 40th anniversary with a special report.
Piling on the pressure, rubbish mounts up as Binman stage yet another walkout.
5 years unbeaten meet the netball team who have set a remarkable record.
Hello there, how are you? It's Peter Andre here. Nothing mysterious. I'm just asking you to join me, Fred and Sarah, tonight on Meridian to talk about my tour that's currently going at the moment. It's going to be great. Tune in, see you there.
Good evening. It was a crime which, even at the height of the IRA troubles, stunned the nation. 4 soldiers and a civilian were killed when a bomb exploded at a pub popular with soldiers. 65 others were injured.
It happened in Guildford at the Horse and Groom in North Street. It was packed with troops from nearby Brighton barracks enjoying a Saturday night out. A second bomb at another pub, the Seven Stars in Swan Lane, also exploded. Fortunately, it had been evacuated and no one was seriously hurt.
Well, this weekend marks the 40th anniversary of the atrocity. The events of that night are still etched in the memory of those who were there.
Our correspondent Kerry Johnston has been talking to some of them.
It was a Saturday night like any pub in any town. But at 8:30 p.m, a bomb ripped through the Horse and Groom, killing 4 army personnel and 1 civilian. Dozens more were injured. Tony Forward was a police chief inspector on the night of the bombing.
It was a great shock to everybody. Not just the people who were in town that night, but the whole community. I mean, it was a terrible shock that something like this should actually happen in a country town like Guildford, a market town, a lovely place to live and a lovely place to visit, suddenly brought into the headlines of all the national papers and television. It was a massive shock, and it took days and, well, probably weeks for people who were not involved in it but merely lived here to come to terms with what had actually happened in their town.
John Reddick was a fire officer stationed at Guildford.
There were these five bodies lying on the pavement, covered over, of course, and I thought it was a terrible waste of young lives. The conflict of the time should be occurring, and however, we just got on with our jobs, and I'd like to pay a tribute to all the firemen who worked with me at that time.
In the outpouring of anger that followed and under pressure to get results, police arrested 3 Belfast men and an English woman. All were jailed for life for the bombings. It turned out to be one of the biggest miscarriages of justice ever seen. After 15 years behind bars, their convictions were quashed and they were released. The real perpetrators were never found.
Here in the centre of Guildford lies a memorial to those who perished. A special service is to be held on Sunday.
People who were living here 40 years ago, I'm sure they've remembered this frequently, but to actually have a service with a proper memorial that people can pay their respects, I think is vitally important.
Kerry Johnston, ITV News, Guildford.
You can find more on the 40th anniversary of the Guildford bombing, along with the rest of the day's news, on our website. Just scan the code on the screen now and it will take you straight there. Alternatively, on your computer, search for itv.com/news/Meridian.
In other news, police are appealing for information after a 20-year-old woman was assaulted at the University of Sussex's Falmer campus. The victim met the attacker while she was drinking with a group of friends outside their halls of residence in the early hours of Saturday, September the 20th. He followed her to her room and assaulted her.
Police have renewed their appeal for witnesses after a lorry overturned on the A34 on Wednesday. They particularly want to speak to anyone who saw the lorry and a silver Skoda Octavia prior to the incident. The northbound carriageway near Winchester was closed for 12 hours. A man arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving has been bailed until December.
2 people are still being questioned on suspicion of murder after the death of a man in Hampshire. It's thought the 32-year-old was assaulted in a flat in Anstey Road in Alton on Tuesday. He was taken to the North Hampshire hospital with severe injuries, but later died.
Rubbish is piling up on the streets of Brighton and Hove again after refuse truck drivers staged another strike. They're involved in a long-running dispute, saying their pay doesn't reflect the demands of their job.
Well, the City Council says it's made the best offer it can afford, but the workforce has turned it down. Malcolm Shaw has our report.
A picket line outside the Hollingdean depot in Brighton today as refuse workers stage another strike. Dust carts, which should have been out on their rounds, going nowhere fast. The workers say they should be paid more than other council drivers of smaller vehicles in recognition of how demanding and dangerous their job can be.
In every other council and any other place, an HGV driver is recognised for his skills and qualifications for what he is. In this place, it's not. We're getting the same rate as drivers of transit vans.
In streets across the city, rubbish is already starting to build up, an increasingly familiar sight to residents, opinions sharply divided on the industrial action.
I'm on their side. The job they do in all the weathers.
Why are they on strike again? For another 50p? It's pointless.
I just hope it gets resolved.
The Green-led City Council says it's made the refuse workers the best offer it can afford. Labour and the Conservatives also condemning today's strike.
All jobs, right the way across the council, every single job has been evaluated, and this was done last year or the year before. And consequently, if you increase this set of people's salaries, then you have to increase another lot of people, and so you go on.
We've been trying to resolve this situation for 6 months. And it was only 4 weeks ago that we commenced a ballot of our members, and nobody in the city knew that we were doing that because we committed to the council to carry on talking. The council is refusing to move and compromise.
Today's stoppage is only for 4 hours. Nonetheless, it's disrupting collections right across the city, and the GMB doesn't rule out further industrial action. And with the refuse collectors still working to rule, it seems scenes like this are set to continue for some time yet. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Brighton.
A £1 million project to repair flood defences in Dorset has been completed. Prime Minister David Cameron showed a personal interest when he inspected damage caused by the winter storms to Chesil Beach. The Environment Agency and Weymouth and Portland Borough Council carried out the work, which involved reinforcing the beach with thousands of tonnes of shingle.
Roadworks to widen a stretch of the busy A23 at Hand Cross in Sussex will come to an end next week. It's hoped the work, which began 2 years ago, will improve journey times between London and the south coast.
Meanwhile, Brighton and Hove City Council has been highly commended for 2 of its major transport schemes in this year's Oscars for the transport industry. It was praised for traffic management and improved bus services. Earlier this year, the local authority was named as the 5th most congested city in the country.
You are watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thank you as always for choosing us. Coming up, face to face, but who will be celebrating on Sunday? The former Saints manager or the current boss?
And that's the spirit, how an historic Hampshire paper mill is enjoying a new chapter thanks to a drinks company.
And don't forget, we've got Peter Andre. For more on all of our stories, head to itv.com/news/Meridian. Any views or news, please call us. Here's the number, 0808 10 10 095, or get in touch via Facebook, or why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian. In other news, an investigation's underway into the death of a construction worker at Heathrow Airport's Terminal 2. The man suffered serious injuries after he was involved in a collision with a truck yesterday morning. He died at the scene.
The atomic weapons establishment in Aldermaston has come under fire from the Environment Agency. An inspection found insufficient numbers of competent personnel were in place to deal with radioactive waste. AWE says security requirements had led to delays in filling vacant posts.
The Terence Higgins Trust will be running a free rapid HIV testing service in Brighton and Hove during National HIV Testing Week. The national campaign in November is aimed at encouraging communities at risk to take part.
Well, the ITV News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. Here's Natasha Kaplinsky.
From his hospital bed, the father of British hostage John Cantley pleads for his son's release. In a message directed at the captors, Paul Cantley says he can think of no greater joy than seeing him return home. Also tonight, bizarre scenes in Thailand as the men accused of killing 2 British tourists are forced to take part in a reconstruction. And why this pill could pull thousands away from their nightly pint in the pub. Join Mark Austin and me at 6:30.
We will indeed. We are approaching 12 minutes past 6. Thanks for being there for us. Nowadays we all have them, of course. Digital cameras are in our phones, our tablets, our laptops. But what does that mean for the art of photography?
Well, the Brighton Photo Biennial is the largest international photography festival in the country, attracting around 100,000 visitors to the city every 2 years. Andy Dickinson has been to find out more.
A little more than a snapshot, the Brighton Photo Biennial has developed into the biggest festival of its kind in the country. With more than 50 events, it attracts over 100,000 visitors as venues become homes to photographic art, video and international archives.
It's been a real transition over the last 10 years in terms of photography being accepted into the art world. But I think what's even more interesting than that even is how photography is very much part of our everyday now. Everyone's got a camera on their phone. It's probably the most democratic medium of our visual culture. But what's really interesting with that is what we do with those ideas. How we use photography in our daily lives to kind of make sense of where we are in our histories.
A mix of old and new, the biennial combines historical collections, such as these press photographs from Italy in its tumultuous 1970s, with a host of new commissions, bringing photographers to shoot in the city as well as display their work, with 19 different exhibitions. This derelict warehouse is set to be redeveloped with 140 new homes, but for the Photo Biennial it's been transformed into an art gallery. This is Kalpesh Lathiga's first major exhibition in England, a collaborative piece concentrating on the Indian community, both in Brighton and South Africa.
This is amazing. I mean, it lends itself really, really well. I think in the arts, we've got to look at different spaces that are accessible. Brighton Photo Biennial is the biggest photo festival in the UK, and it's vast. And I can't be more happier and show my work here.
As digital invades the traditional, art also becomes video. Simon Faithful followed this boat's final voyage as it was sunk to become an artificial reef, now serving as an underwater sculpture off the Dorset coast.
I'm not sort of infatuated by technology, but given that we live in a very mediated world with images saturating us from all corners of the earth, I think it'd be strange for an artist not to use that media.
Offering multiple exposures, the Brighton Photo Biennial begins tonight and carries on throughout October. Andy Dickinson, ITV News.
Lovely. Now, this could be just the tonic for you, not for me and Sarah, because we're both teetotal in our imaginations. A village in Hampshire is hoping to become a new attraction for those who like a tipple. The Bombay Sapphire Distillery at Laverstoke Mill has opened its doors to the public.
The heritage site was a paper mill for many years, but now the company will produce gin for the global market from its new headquarters in Whitchurch. Divya Kohli reports.
It was once a paper mill producing banknotes for the Bank of England from the 1700s and making rupees for India up until 1963. But world-renowned gin company Bombay Sapphire has transformed Laverstoke Mill into a distillery, keeping the old buildings and giving this area a bright new future.
We've had a great backing. I think there's a real point of pride here at Laverstoke Mill. It was on the map globally. We've kind of put it back on the map. We've brought high quality goods manufacturing back to Laverstoke Mill. We've brought employment back to the area, so we've got just over 40 jobs that we've created for local people.
The first guests were invited to take a look around this important heritage site, but with its new additions, like the botanicals that grow in sparkling glass houses. But here in the stills room is where visitors get a bit of a chemistry lesson.
We charge our stills with GNS, which is grain neutral spirit, and pure water, diluted down to 80%. We then heat that with a combination of a steam jacket and a steam coil, and the vapours are evolved. And they go through the pot into the deflagmator. The vapours evolved in the still come through the swan's neck, down the linarm, into the infuser chamber here. And it goes into the condenser here, where it's turned from the vapour into the liquid, into the spirit safe. And that is where Bombay Sapphire gin is made.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Brilliant idea.
Every time we want a gin.
And that is the most stunning thing. On the internet it looked fabulous, but in the reality it's beautiful.
One of our hosts is actually a 5th generation mill worker, and all of our first guests have been ex-employees. I mean, for 3 centuries the local community worked in the mill. At the height of production here there was over 400 people. So there's a phenomenal interest in backing, really, to see it brought back to life and reused. It's a stunning place.
Visitors can experience the history as well as learn about the distillery on special tours, a behind the scenes if you like, but a new beginning for this once bustling paper mill. Divya Kohli, ITV News, Whitchurch.
Oh, that was a tough assignment, wasn't it?
Yes, I'd have hated to do that one.
Right, time for the sport now with Andrew Payton. Andrew, it's a case of old versus new.
Absolutely, I can't wait because this weekend sees the Battle of Southampton managers past and present. The Saints travel to Spurs on Sunday, which means new boss Ronald Koeman must pit his wits against Maurizio Pochettino, the man who walked out of St Mary's with his interpreter during the summer. It's the first time they faced each other since their playing days.
I think I played against him when he was a player of Espanyol.
Do you remember who won?
Yes, I never lost against Espanyol.
Ooh, cheeky. Right, it really is an away day special this weekend with Bournemouth, Reading and Brighton all on their travels in the Championship. While in League One, Crawley and Swindon are also hoping to pick up points on the road. And in League Two, Portsmouth have the longest journey up to York. Oxford United, the only one of our teams able to enjoy home comforts with a visit of Newport. And if you're not travelling to see your team this weekend, you may want to watch this short film all about Francis Benali's big run. The former Southampton footballer has raised over £160,000 for cancer research after running 36 marathons in just 21 days.
I'm pleased it's the end today. Yeah, difficult one. It's right, don't worry.
Yeah, Francis Benali and his daughter there, amazing achievement, which takes us very nicely to the Year 11 netball team from Oriel High in Crawley. The side has gone through all 5 years of secondary school unbeaten. Truly remarkable feat, so I went along to meet them.
ITV Meridian Sports Report, sponsored by WeWantAnyCar.com, the Cash for Cars website.
They are the Invincibles. Playing as a team for 5 years and still unbeaten. Oriel High School near Crawley have taken them all on and won. What do you think the secret behind your success is?
Friendship, I would say. I would honestly say friendship.
because we all came together, not really being close to each other and not knowing each other, but then literally the netball just brought us together, so I never knew her, and we just immediately all are a perfect team.
Us two have been playing together since year 5 in the same positions we are now, so it really brings together like a group bond.
This season, the girls have averaged 8 goals a game, including thumping wins of 13-2 and 16-2, all backed by their coaches. And the head teacher, he says it's great preparation for life after school.
To have a sense of team spirit, being able to support one another, help each other, work well together, but on top of that, to develop a powerful sense of self-belief, of inner confidence, because that's what they're going to need in order to face life's challenges.
The team now have the silverware to remember their amazing feat, a record that will go down in school netball history.
Like when we train, like it's not like the atmosphere is good, but then like when we actually get to playing, like our heads just in the game, and we're just like, I don't know, something just clicks with all of us.
I never expected to do this well, because I think we have fun when we're playing as well, so it's quite a surprise to have been able to achieve this much.
Friendship, team spirit and a mean shot can take you a long way. And we end with some more girl power, because the Volvo Ocean Race starts with in-port racing this weekend. And Portsmouth's Sam Davies is skippering the first all-female crew to take part in over a decade. But the men will come out fighting too in Alicante, led by Ian Walker from Warsash on board Azam. And don't forget, we've the Bournemouth Marathon and Basingstoke Half Marathon on Sunday. Bournemouth starts at 10 from Kings Park Drive, and at 11 in Basingstoke outside the War Memorial Park. Thousands of runners will be out and about. Good luck to them all. If you're taking part, send us your pictures and we'll put them on our website, ITV News Meridian at ITV.com. Enjoy.
Will you be running, Betty?
Probably not. I must say though, Fred, well done for persisting with that 1990 suit, because I think it's absolutely perfect for the next story.
Well, you'll love the next one, because you, like me, are rather proud of your six-pack, aren't you?
Oh, of course.
Thank you, Andrew, very much. Watch this.
Right, enough. He's been called Britain's hardest working singer, but he's a bit more than that. In fact, he's got his own reality show, is the host of a 60-minute makeover programme, and he's launched a charity foundation.
Peter Andre tonight begins his new UK tour, the first in 2 years, and to start he's keeping it local, or at least as close as he can to his home in Sussex.
Let's have a reminder of how he first came to our attention.
Mysterious girl, I wanna get close to you.
That was Peter in 1995, and this is how he's looking now. More swing music and his big night album.
And ahead of tonight's concert, we caught up with Peter. Peter, great to see you. Bournemouth tonight, Brighton on Sunday, Guildford and Oxford next week. And this show takes you in new directions, doesn't it?
It sure does. And before I start, I've got to say it's a beautiful place here today. With this wonderful view behind me, and it's still warm, so we're still classing it as a summer concert, and it really is a whole different direction. We've got a 10-piece blues and jazz band, and they're incredible. Yours are at 6 and the show's at 8. So we obviously do songs that I've done in the past that I've written or co-written, and brand new material, but we're also doing some of my favourite songs from the 70s right up to now, anything from Bing Crosby to Stevie Wonder or Justin Timberlake, you know, and we jazz it up and we give it our own twist, and it's fantastic.
Oh, it sounds fantastic, Peter, and we understand there's an opportunity too for the audience to get involved.
There is. Audience involvement is paramount on this show. It's really important. It's what I love doing the most. being on stage, being able to communicate with the crowd. And it's not just song and dance, getting them involved in something that they've probably never experienced before, especially if they're not Greek. That's the clue. You've got to be Greek to have known this. We're bringing a bit of our culture in the show, and the audience do get involved, and it's the highlight of the night.
Peter, like me, you're fairly well honed, though I gather you worry about preserving that wonderful six-pack because people remember your wonderful body from that Mysterious Girl video. Is it difficult?
Girl, I wanna be with you. I wanna spend the night with you.
You know, that video for Mysterious Girl was 1995. And when we talk about it on stage, and I go back to how long ago it was, we're talking 19, 20 years ago. I mean, it is a long time. It's hard for me to accept that those years have passed. The fact that I was only 2 years old when we filmed the video clip for Mysterious Girl makes me feel better. But yeah, maintaining something like that is not 100% easy, but when you're on tour it is, because you're moving about constantly, and I feel young.
Well, something that's keeping you young, Peter, is the birth of your daughter, Amelia, born back in January. Congratulations on that. And we understand your fiancée, Emily, is training to become a doctor. You're a busy couple. How do you juggle it all?
Do you know, it's so nice that we have such separate careers in very different fields. I mean, she's out there saving lives, and I'm doing a television commercial. Very different way of life, but we come together and it really works. No, in all seriousness, she's doing so well. The last part of her degree is actually working in the hospitals, so she's working alongside doctors and patients now as we speak. Yeah, we have a wonderful daughter, and it's beautiful. That definitely keeps you young as well.
You're doing lots of television, of course. My Life on ITV2, ITV's 60-minute makeover. Are you actually any good at DIY?
Absolutely not. I couldn't be worse at doing DIY than it. I probably am in the bottom 20 in the world of DIY, but that's probably why they wanted me to be part of it, because they knew I can't help myself. I have to get stuck in. So getting stuck in, knowing it's going to be a disaster, is probably what they think makes the show interesting. I'd like to hope that at least in presenting, I'm doing a good job.
Oh, certainly. Finally, Peter, on that note, you're going to help launch the new ITV channel next Wednesday. Are you excited about that?
Very much so. ITV is now going to be the home for reality. So where ITV2 was, and I had such a prominent part in reality on ITV2, it felt very fitting, and I was quite honoured that they've asked me now to launch ITV, which will be the new home for reality. So you will love it.
You've got some fans there behind you, Peter. We are fans as well. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck with your tour.
Thank you very much. They're Rent-A-Crowd. I've paid them very handsomely to be there. But thank you so much for, and I hope you come and see the show. If you love blues, jazz, swing, soul, rock and roll, you will love it.
We'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely man, lovely weather in Bournemouth. Will it last? Let's find out. Lucy Verisami.
That's us driving on, us driving off in France, and us on the bridge.
Driving to Europe. Eurotunnel Le Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
A very good evening to you. Hello again. Well, feeling more and more like autumn as we go into the weekend. Brace yourselves for cooler days and even chillier nights. It's all due to this system working its way from north to south in the next 24 hours. Ahead of this, we've truly been spoilt with relatively warm weather for the time of year. It's been gorgeous out there today, but as that windy, wet weather moves its way through the course of tomorrow morning, well, a big difference out there. A switch in the wind direction, much cooler air seeping its way in, and temperatures taking a bit of a knock as well. I think a bit of a shock to the system for all of us in the coming few days. As for this evening and tonight, it stays dry out there. Clear skies initially before the cloud increases, and the cloud will prevent temperatures falling too far. That's the upshot. But tomorrow morning, well, what a difference a day makes. Blustery, cloudy and wet. A horrible start to the weekend. There's no two ways about it. But don't be too disheartened. Things improve through the afternoon. Brighter skies. Feeling quite nice in the sunshine, but so much cooler than it has been. I'll see you again soon. Have a good night.
Eurotunnel Le Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
In just a moment, the national and international news with Natasha Kopinski and Mark Austin.
For now, though, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.